Hello, and welcome back to the Ever-Changing World Podcast. I'm your host, Ava Zanetti, and I am so ready for today's topic. It is a doozy. It is one that is so in the news right now. I feel like nobody can quite escape it. It is the big thing, the hot thing in technology right now, and of course, what I'm talking about, what I've kind of giving you an idea about, is the Metaverse. It's absolutely insane out there. I think that every single industry has heard about this. I mean, I have looked at pretty much every different corner of, looking at entertainment, looking at the future of jobs, looking at sports even, video games, which kind of makes sense though. But all these different things the Metaverse is kind of hoping to accomplish, and it's pretty dystopian-like. I feel like we are living in a Black Mirror episode. Great show, by the way, but I feel like we're living in one of those episodes in this crazy dystopian future. Honestly, I am not ready for it. I don't think anyone's ready for it. So I really want to go into detail of that, go into detail of what people are thinking, because we're really at the very, very, very beginning of it. I mean, even Mark Zuckerberg, who has created the Metaverse and created Meta as well, which is what he changed the name of Facebook to, and kind of the whole company, I guess. He is also saying we're at the frontier. So that gives you some hope. But looking at how fast technology develops, I mean, this thing could happen in a couple of years. They're saying 5-10 years. Who knows where this thing is gonna go? So it's definitely a crazy one, but I think it's super important to talk about. I'm sure I'll do multiple episodes on this. I'll do some in the future if more crazy developments come out that I feel like are worth noting. And yeah, I just think it's such an interesting topic. Before I get into that though, if you're hearing my voice, I am a little bit sick. I'm just getting over a cold, and my voice is still kind of scratchy, so I sound a little bit different. I did record a little bit before this though, and I didn't sound too different, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But I don't think my voice sounds that annoying, so it should be okay to listen to while I talk about this. So just bear with me while I drink some water, and hopefully I won't cough too much. I had to stop a previous recording because of that, so we'll see how it goes. I think I'll do fine. Yeah, I mean, really, I feel great. The last thing to heal has been my voice, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. But that is okay. We are going to get over this, and I need to record a podcast. I love it, so that's what we're doing today. So anyways, back into the Metaverse. Well, hopefully not. I have a few kind of main topics I want to talk about, but I have so much content. I have so many different tabs open, and I think this is going to last my normal time for podcasts, which is good. I also have a few Instagram posts here as well, and I followed a few Metaverse accounts. These accounts, I'm looking here right now, it's kind of the Web3 NFT news. I will not be talking too much in detail about NFTs. I think NFTs and cryptocurrency is also super interesting, and it does lend itself to the Metaverse quite nicely. But I won't be talking too much about it. I want to do more research on NFTs. I'm very confused about them. And I will be talking about that in a future episode, probably next week, but if not next week, the week after. I'll see kind of how I feel, see what episodes bring inspiration to me, see if anything else I really want to talk about, maybe give a break from technology if I end up doing NFTs. But it does kind of lend itself to it. So these accounts that I'm looking at do have some of that, but I mainly want to be talking about the Metaverse and kind of the whole spiel with that. So in future episodes, I think this is a good place to start. I mean, crypto probably would have been a better place, but I think this is a really interesting one. It's super in the news, and I'm going to make it fun because there's some really crazy things happening in the Metaverse. So I will be talking about when I do NFTs. I'm sure I'll bring up the Metaverse. So if you're coming back to listen to this episode to get an idea of the Metaverse, just come in and listen, and I probably won't go into detail on that. But just in general, I want to talk about a few different topics, like the Ready Player One, which I want to start off with, as well as just basically what it is, what it's hoping to accomplish, what has happened so far, which, I mean, guys, some crazy things have happened. What are people's opinions? So, like, different people, like Elon Musk is a great example, and some other people. Disney even had a comment on the Metaverse. I mean, guys, it's just kind of crazy. And also, kind of what is the future of the Metaverse? I mean, it's really at its beginning phases. We're not really quite sure where it's going, what direction it's going. I'm kind of feeling the Black Mirror kind of feeling that it might be like a Black Mirror episode. But, we'll see. I mean, I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. So, to start off, I'm going to begin with talking about Ready Player One. It is a book by Ernest Cline. I believe it came out in 2011. I'm going to make sure I got that detail right, because I do not want to get that wrong. It is by Ernest Cline, though. Yeah, the film came out in 2018. One of the first search results was Ready Player One Metaverse. 2011. So it's a science fiction book, and it's pretty much is in 2045, which is kind of freaky because that is only 20 years away. And basically it's on Earth, but the planet's kind of falling apart. So our main character, he's living in this really crappy apartment that's in shambles, and climate change has kind of taken over. These apartment buildings are stacked upon each other. The whole thing is kind of falling apart. He lives in this really crappy area. Everybody does, except for the very, very, very wealthy rich. There's a huge divide. We can see correlations already. And basically, their saving grace, their hope for the future, the thing that wakes them up in the morning and makes them happy, is something called the Oasis. So when we're looking at the Metaverse and the Oasis, those are kind of the correlations. Basically, what the Oasis is a virtual reality universe. So it's created by this billionaire, super rich guy named James Holliday. So again, translation to Mark Zuckerberg and James. And basically, this guy dies, and the whole premise of the movie or book, whatever you want to look at, is the main character tries and goes find this magical, like the egg, an Easter egg, inside of the, I was going to say Metaverse, no, inside of the Oasis, and that'll give him the fortune and ownership of the Oasis. So, basically, that's kind of the whole idea of this movie. It was pretty funny. I enjoyed the movie, but I mean, now looking back at it is kind of creepy. I mean, even when I was watching the movie in 2018, how old was I? That was a long time ago. That was before COVID. I must have been it was grade 7, and I remember watching it, and I really did think this could happen. This seems like it correlates to something that could happen in the future, which, whenever I'm watching something like that, it is definitely scary. But, I mean, Ready Player One seems like it's going to be like a metaverse. And, I mean, a lot of people are correlating the two. I've talked to a lot of people about this, and everybody's kind of really thinking that it's going to be very similar to Ready Player One. But then there's also people that I've researched online that says this is just another one of those kind of trends. I mean, they're also saying that about NFTs and cryptocurrency. I think really at the beginning of anything, there's always some doubt. But I also do think there is a little bit of fact in something that's coming up. The Metaverse might not grow into expansive Oasis type of virtual reality, but there's some truth in it. Virtual reality is here, and it's here to stay. And it's definitely going to be developed, and it's not just going to stop because we don't like it. It is going to stay. And same with things like AI and all this other tech stuff. It is here to stay. And realistically, even if some of these things are trends, I definitely think that some of it will stay. And there's a reason why it's blown up to this proportion. There's some truth in it. So even if it's not the Metaverse, something is going to prop up. And hopefully it's not like Ready Player One. And really, I hope it's not like a Black Mirror episode. I mean, I love the show. It's a great show. But, not something I'd want to live in particularly. And especially some of those episodes, man, they're crazy. And it's scary because it could be realistic and it could be true. So before we kind of get into this crazy metaverse idea and, oh my gosh, the world's going to be taken over by virtual reality, guys, run while you can, go live in the woods, I wanted to kind of give an idea of what Facebook or Meta idea is for this. So the reason why, basically, Facebook changed their name to Meta is they said, we do so much stuff other than Facebook, now we're calling it Meta. So, yeah, whatever, they just rebranded themselves. A lot of people think it's controversial reasons, whatever it is, it's fine, not really my problem. But, pretty much on their website, I'm going to read it word for word so you can get an idea of exactly what their mission statement is. I don't want to get anything wrong about what they're saying here. This is what they are saying. No speculation. This is what the Meta website says. It says, the Metaverse is the next evolution of social connection. Our company's vision is to help bring the Metaverse to life. So we are changing our name to reflect our commitment to this future. So basically, they're saying that the metaverse will be social. Again, reading from the website. 3D spaces in the metaverse will let you socialize, learn, collaborate, and play in ways that go beyond what we can imagine. And then pretty much it says listen to Mark Zuckerberg talk, and it is his hour-long little keynote here. So in his keynote, I didn't really watch the whole thing because I've gained a lot more knowledge from different articles, and to be honest, I didn't really want to listen to a whole keynote, an hour of Mark Zuckerberg talking, and pretty much the little chapters that he has here. And okay, something he really stresses that I've seen throughout different little interviews he's had, little clips I've seen throughout different things he's talked about. He's really stressing that the metaverse is for social connection. He's saying that this virtual reality is something that is going to connect us, that is going to bring this virtual reality space that brings people together. And while there might be some truth in it, as of right now, a lot of companies are using it for ad space, which is kind of funny, but I'll get into that later. But a lot of it has different components. You know what? Social connections, yeah, but also entertainment, gaming, exercise, which is a weird one. But it kind of makes sense. And education, commerce, basically everything. They're saying, really, that this is going to be a world outside of the world. Just like the Oasis, as I do want to remind you. Another thing I didn't mention about the Oasis, that I do remember from the film, is that to make it more real, I mean, they could feel things that they touched. They had the technology in the book / movie, but the other thing that they had is that they would walk on treadmills / run on treadmills that would simulate kind of walking in real life and running in real life. So that was also the other element to it. And I think that's also very interesting and a direction that this might go into. It could be very, very real, but I mean, who really knows? So the other things I'm looking here at this website here is pretty much, it's all virtual reality. So, I mean, obviously you guys might have used virtual reality before. Really, the metaverse right now is using virtual reality goggles. So, if you've ever, I want to talk about virtual reality for a bit, because I find it so interesting how kind of fast this has boomed. So in my area where I live, there is this company that rents out virtual reality spaces. So basically, you're in this little squared out box, and it has padding so you don't like run into a wall and hurt yourself. And it also has you kind of tied to a string. The virtual reality goggles are tied to a string again, so you don't hurt yourself. You can't go into bounds. Pretty much, though, this virtual reality space you can rent out for X amount of dollars. I forget how much it was. It wasn't cheap, though. And you can play any virtual reality game. And something that I remember when I did this a few times. It was a lot of fun, I have to admit, because I don't have virtual reality goggles of my own. It was a very fun thing to do, and a fun excursion, like something you would never do. You can kind of see everything, feel things. The technology just really isn't there yet, I have to say. The first thing is that with the hands that you use, you have these two kind of toggling devices. They're very difficult to use, honestly. They aren't super easy. I mean, you don't feel immersed. And that's, the first technology that's really, really prominent. The other thing that Elon Musk does say, and I will mention him a bit later, but kind of foreshadowing here, is that, it's so true, virtual reality goggles suck. I think the sessions that I did, they were about half an hour, only half an hour. And I think I did a double tag where I did it for an hour, but I remember it only being like half an hour, and it hurts your eyes. Even after like 10, 20 minutes, your eyes from these virtual reality goggles hurt so bad. The human eyes aren't supposed to have this huge like TV screen right paneled in front of their retinas. It's insane that this technology is being used, and it's crazy that people are thinking it can last a long time. I mean, here, just on its own website, it's saying using this virtual reality metaverse for workrooms, which I find so funny. What they're basically saying is you have these little silly looking avatars sitting in a virtual workroom, just like Zoom, but you can kind of see your virtual avatars. I feel like that's worse. I feel like that's even worse than just going on Zoom, because you can't even see the people's faces. And it's like, I don't know. And who wants to have their virtual reality goggles on for like an hour-long meeting? I think that is quite funny. They do mention just playing stuff like Beat Saber, which, I mean, is a fun virtual reality game. VR in depth, I mean, this is just saying, just trying to learn what it is. Augmented reality, okay, I really want to go into this. This is something that they're trying to develop, and they're really trying to develop, making, this VR technology, really immersive. And I want to go into that more in a little bit, but this augmented reality portion is basically through, here, I'll read it word for word again. Through photo and video, AR lets you enhance shared experiences with playful virtual effects at swipe of a screen, letting you express yourself with the people who matter most, whatever kind of website crap that they put on there to try and get you to buy stuff. Pretty much it's just making stuff that looks kind of cool and realistic into this virtual reality, which, I mean, we've seen before. Nothing too crazy, but yeah, so right now the technology really is just at the VR headsets, which, let's be honest, they hurt your head. You you don't want to use them for too long, and honestly, it's just not that fun. I mean, it is fun for like half an hour, and maybe even an hour. Like, I've done it for an hour, but for more than that, when you're getting into this crazy long period of time, it's just not going to work. So, really, I think with the Metaverse, the first really big step into it being this crazy dystopian future is the technology. I mean, your eyes hurt using VR goggles, the hands are crap, they don't work well. Nothing really feels real in it. It feels like a video game strapped onto your eyes right now, which is fine. That's where the technology is at, but they are trying to develop the technology to be more immersive, which really is going to be interesting. So the next little part here I have is before I get into the other articles I have, and I'm just going to do as much structured I can before I just keep going with spiels here, is basically what it is hoping to accomplish. So I'm going to read this word for word once again. I believe this is from the Metaverse website, though I don't want to get that wrong. So let me kind of see where I got this from. You know what, I'm just going to read it. I think it's from the Metaverse website. So basically what it says here, the Metaverse in a nutshell is the digital world where anything we can imagine can exist. Eventually we'll be connected to the Metaverse all the time, extending our senses of sight, sound, and touch, blending digital items into the physical world, or popping into fully immersive 3D environments whenever we want. I mean, that whole paragraph was just scary. The whole idea that we will be in the Metaverse all the time is terrifying. I don't quite like that idea. I hope you don't like that idea. Again, as I said, there is probably some truth to everything that comes about. All these trends, there always is a little bit of truth. And, even if this is just a trend, I do think eventually we will use a lot of the digital world. We will be a part of it a lot. And, that's terrifying. That's scary. But I mean, it's going to be a reality, and we're going to have to deal with it. I mean, even with COVID, people are now wanting to work from home more and more and more. People have realized, you know what, I can do a lot of better work at home. I can be home with my kids. I can do this. I can do that. It's more relaxing, and people are wanting to go to work in person. I mean, it makes sense for people that are working office jobs that don't really need to go into work. It's kind of dumb to go into work if you don't need to. But even with COVID and all of this, the Metaverse really does seem like it could be a possibility, or some form of it. Maybe not strapping VR goggles onto your head, but the virtual world is definitely true. And there is a lot of truth to kind of what the Metaverse is trying to bring about. I mean, the Metaverse is trying to bring a more social world in technology. And I mean, you can even say Facebook, to an extent, have done that. Facebook has allowed you to talk to people from around the world, people maybe you haven't talked to in a while. It is really being developed, and these things have come about. So I do think there is some truth into the Metaverse, and I do think it is going to be here to stay in some way, shape, or form. It may not be as big as some people think. It may not be Black Mirror episode, which I hope not. Or if it is Black Mirror episode, I hope I'm dead by then. But to be honest, I just really hope it's kind of there is going to be some truth, and I hope it is a positive truth, because even when we look into things like AI, artificial intelligence, it can get really scary really fast. I mean, even Elon Musk is trying to make Neuralink, which is quite literally putting this stuff into your brain. So putting the metaverse into your brain, not just virtual reality goggles. At least with virtual reality, you can take off the goggles, but Neuralink, I don't know, man. I think that's also just as scary. So I think that these things, we're really going to have to keep an eye on, and we're going to have to watch, and we're also going to have to make sure that we aren't getting too crazy with all of this. I'm just quickly looking here at, oh God, the one article is so funny. I'm looking over here at some of the different things that, what the metaverse is, and I just want to make sure I get some more details in case you guys don't understand it. I mean, still at some point, the metaverse is kind of confusing. Let me see here. I think that, yeah, so this one is just describing kind of what this is. Another interesting thing that I do want to mention is how Stanford has officially brought a class that is full on virtual reality, a whole class taught in virtual reality. I mean, guys, this whole thing, everything that is happening, I think personally, although some people say, oh, it's just a trend. No, this is a sign that virtual reality, that the metaverse, and all this stuff is going to happen, and we are not going to be able to escape it. If universities, these top universities, are making are making virtual reality classes, there's no way that this isn't going to happen. And there's no way that this isn't going to blow up in somewhere, in some way, shape, or form. Like, we have these classes at our beginning. Now we have people developing all these crazy things. It's definitely going to happen. Here I'm looking at what Microsoft is going to do with it, and basically, let me see. So Microsoft showed off its plans earlier this year for bringing a mixed reality, including holograms and virtual avatars, to Microsoft Teams in 2022. So this year, as I'm recording. So basically, they want to bring explorable 3D virtual connected spaces, and oh my gosh, the U.S. Army is currently working with Microsoft for an augmented reality headset for soldiers to train. And so, kind of leading into that, although I have talked about how this seems like a kind of Black Mirror episode and how we're going to live in this virtual reality and this is insane and I don't like it, I do think there's a lot of benefits. I think that virtual reality is so fun. It's such an interesting thing. Of course, the technology isn't quite there yet, but I think it is really, really important for our future. Technology needs to advance no matter what. I mean, do you want to stay in the eras where we didn't have any technology? Do you want to stay before the industrial era? I mean, all of these things happen for a reason, and it's important for the development of humankind, but we do need to make sure that we don't destroy ourselves in doing so as well. And stay connected a bit to our human roots, because although, we love sitting inside nowadays, and, as much as I do too, and going on technology and going on social media, I think we also need to keep the human side of it. Hopefully virtual reality will be able to keep that. They're trying to make avatars look more realistic. I think that's important. It is dystopian, but I think there's some benefits. I mean, just here, as I read, Microsoft is going to allow the U.S. Army to train with virtual headsets, and I think that's so important. I mean, allowing people to train in these environments where it is a high learning situation with no risk, because you aren't killing anyone in real life, is so good. I mean, I think this could also be used in the medical field. We're seeing more robots be brought into the medical field, and I think putting some virtual reality goggles on, and if there's some good dexterity to do it, learning how to do surgeries in virtual reality, so good. That's so cool. That is going to be a really great asset. I think overall, virtual reality and this metaverse can bring a side of teaching to it. I mean, as I mentioned, Stanford has this, and there's a lot of benefits. I mean, I think we all jump right to the negatives, and there are a lot of negatives, and that's what the media focuses on, right? If you're thinking about the negatives, you're going to focus on the negatives. But I do think it's really cool. I mean, I know already pilots do virtual simulators and stuff like that. So if we can bring that to other industries, like medical, as I mentioned, the Army, which I think is super cool that they're doing that, really anything like that, I think that is going to be so amazing and super awesome. You know what? Like, realistically, the world is ever changing. I didn't even realize I read my own podcast name, but it is ever changing, and I think this is going to be something to stay, and I think it's going to be something that's important. Another thing, of course, is something we've seen with Epic Games, is that we've had multiple concerts run by artists virtually, and we've seen Ariana Grande, Travis Scott, movie trailers, all this stuff. There's also been an immersive reimagining of Martin Luther King Jr.'s historic I Have a Dream speech. So, again, I think this is really cool. Something else that the Metaverse talks about, or Meta talks about, is that they're going to try and bring going back in time. So maybe you get to go see what ancient Greece was like, or see what Rome was like, or see what Egypt was like back in the day, or even see like the industrial era, see the wars. That's something that they're going to bring. I think that's super cool. I think that learning immersively, seeing it for yourself, is super cool. I mean, we don't have an actual time machine. We can't travel back in time. But if we can do it in this way, through virtual reality, I think that's awesome. I think my history classes would be so much more interesting if I could just go and see all these things firsthand and be like, whoa, I'm here, I'm immersed. I think that's super cool. So I do think there's tons of benefits to it. Jumping into, I'm going to skip past some crazy things that have happened, because I want to leave that to the end. Because, man, it is crazy. I want to talk quickly about people's opinions. I have a whole article here about random people's opinions, and I will talk about those random people's opinions. First I want to talk about Elon Musk. Basically, he had a recent interview, and he said he couldn't see a compelling case use for this VR-driven metaverse. And he basically says it's more marketing than reality, and he said, I don't really get it. Because also, he said it's this concept which the internet services are rebuilt around blockchain and cryptocurrency. So I don't want to go into detail about the blockchain and cryptocurrency, because I feel like that's a completely different podcast episode that I can talk about for an hour as well. And I don't want this to last too long, so I won't talk about that. But, I can't see the side where he says it's more marketing than reality. My opinion on it is that even if it's not in the metaverse, something like this is going to come up. Virtual reality and using the internet and immersing yourself in the internet is going to be a reality in some way. Like, we are going to see that happening. You're not going to be able to escape that. It might not be the metaverse, though. So I kind of agree and disagree with him on that. But again, he also in the interview said he might be too old to understand these technologies. So he says, I'm like one of those people who was dismissing the internet in 95 as some fad or something that's never going to amount as anything. So he wasn't one of those people. Sorry, that's what I said, what I meant. So he basically said he was very much more of the individuals who understood the potentials of the internet. So he says has a positive outlook on this. So for him, this isn't realistic. I think he was really talking about the metaverse. I don't think he mentioned particularly his takes on virtual reality as general, but he said, this is kind of another comment he said, sure, you can put a TV on your nose. I'm not sure that makes you in the metaverse, he said. I don't see someone strapping a friggin' screen to their face all day and not wanting to leave. That seems no way. He says, I'm currently unable to see a compelling case. So again, I can see his take. I think technology still has some time to develop for this. I think before we see an Oasis, Metaverse type of thing happening, before we see a Black Mirror episode, I think it's going to take some technology advancement. And who knows, it might not be until my kids' time that this thing really blows up. But I think that it is definitely going to be something that is going here to stay. I think virtual reality in some shape, way, or form, as I've been mentioning through the last 30 minutes of the podcast, is here to stay. I have some other interesting comments. Okay, I have Walt Disney Company commented on this, which I thought was so interesting. Just give me a moment. I have to take a sip of water. Sorry about that. I hope my voice is not too scratchy. In my head it sounds really scratchy, so I hope that's not too bad. But, we are looking at the Walt Disney Company, and basically he says that, the CEO said that he was confident in Disney's ability to capitalize on the metaverse with its broad properties, blah, blah, blah. And basically he said, suffice it to say, our efforts to date are merely a prologue to a time when we'll be able to connect the physical and digital worlds even more closely, allowing for storytelling. So basically, he was suggesting, in a nutshell, that Disney creates its own metaverse. in the sense that, like, with Marvel and Star Wars and all these things, they create their own metaverse. Which, I mean, they pretty much do. They capitalize a lot on all these stories. They're very good at that, and I have to give them that credit. I don't particularly know if they really answer the question right, but sure. Warner Group, music group, they have put their music on large-scale platforms like Roblox and Fortnite. So, I mean, they believe in this. They basically said it's a global reach. It's going to be reaching about a lot of people. A universe of opportunity, which I think so too. I think I'm looking at this in a really positive way. And again, as I said, I don't know if it'll be Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse, but it's going to be something. And I think we need to recognize that, and we're going to have to deal with it, and that's important. Again, Roblox obviously believes in this since they have put a bunch of really cool artists. Never thought they'd be in Roblox, but you know what? We live in a weird time. Microsoft is obviously really interested in this, as they have kind of dealt with this. Of course, Facebook is, since they are the face of the metaverse. Coinbase said that they this is again looking at blockchain and crypto and NFTs, which I won't want to go into detail, but they basically said there's a lot of innovation in this space and they want to double down on these opportunities. So that's kind of what they said. Bumble commented. So they believe that Bumble BFF will enable level participation, pushing them to life. So in the near term, this means new engagement. So not looking at this as a positive light. I think a lot of these companies are. I think it is a really great marketing opportunity. It's a really high risk, high reward scenario. That's something one of the kids in my class actually talked about. He was talking about the metaverse a bit, and he said it is a really high risk, high reward scenario. And I agree. I mean, putting all this money into crypto and anything, really, is going to be high risk, but high reward. And that's the case for the metaverse, too. And we need to recognize that. But I think that if you're a big company, it's worth it to take the shot. I mean, if you have the money, they throw their money at anything anyway. So it is pretty interesting. So, as well, I have looking into the future. I think that's enough people's opinions. I think those are kind of the most interesting people's opinions, to be honest. So, before I go into the future, honestly, I just want to jump into these crazy stories. So, the first thing I want to talk about is, let me look. Metaverse property. Okay, what the hell is this? That's all I gotta say. So, basically, I was doing my research a few days ago, and I was like, okay, what is the metaverse? I kind of understand it. I get the point. I see how this could work. What is metaverse property? And I was looking into it, and it is the world's first virtual real estate company. You heard me right. People are buying real estate in the metaverse. They're buying fake plots of land and renting fake plots of land. So let me look at the about page, because I mean, how else am I going to even understand this? So basically, they are helping with the buying and selling of virtual real estate, development of virtual land, and all these other interesting things. They want to build better places to call home, begins with doing what's right. A bunch of people that have worked in the blockchain have made this, which obviously makes sense because they know how to make a virtual reality real estate company. I mean, come on. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. People are buying this. Companies are buying real estate. A lot of it obviously is for advertisement reasons, which again is a high risk, high reward scenario. But it is so weird that people are buying property. My big question with this, and it's kind of dumb, but because, we have this metaverse and we can create, it's virtual reality. Can't we just create as much land as we want? Is my idea behind it. But maybe they're going to make this a finite piece of land. I'm not sure how they're going to make this work because, how properties are in water, sell for more in real life. Well, you can make any property technically on water in virtual reality. So I think this is going to be interesting, but I think really it is for ad spaces right now. Let me see if I can buy land in this Decentraland. Okay. Oh, this looks like a kind of fun area. So I think I kind of get it right now. there's these areas, so basically cities, and if you want to live in this cool, rugged city, you can buy land there. If you want to live in a cool, I don't know, the country area, you can live there. So I think that's kind of the idea behind these more popular lands. They're saying that these are valuable. So I guess that's how they're going to make them valuable, by making, maybe these spaces have, no, you can't just keep curating area in these cities. I think that's kind of the idea. So it's basically saying the Metaverse properties offers land in premium locations for individual enterprises and institutions. This is so weird to me. I'm still kind of grasping at understanding what this is. I mean, it is weird, but I can see the market for this. I know a bunch of companies are buying land to advertise, but I guess you can buy land too. I wouldn't buy land personally right now. I think it's way too early to start buying land in these random places. It's definitely too early, but I mean, you do you if you really want to spend that much money on renting out land. It seems a little funny. But I guess this is how the metaverse works. I mean, it looks kind of fun. It looks like this could be fun. I mean, but I feel like putting real money into this virtual world is kind of silly, especially right now as this is kind of just coming about. Now we need to be careful in where we're putting our money. So I think that has been really interesting. I'm going to look more into this virtual land. Maybe I'll research this while I'm talking, but we'll see. The next thing I want to talk about, though, that I forgot to mention, I remember while I was talking about that, is smart glasses. So they actually created this. I've had so many ads on YouTube and on Google and all these things of these Ray-Ban smart glasses. You might have seen them. They're available in the US and Canada and a few other places. They are kind of, if you've ever seen the Snapchat smart glasses, they're similar to that. They are these wearable technology. This isn't really new. We've seen Google try doing this. We've seen Snapchat try and do this. So this isn't quite new technology. So this is why I didn't really go into detail, and I probably forgot to talk about it because it's not interesting. But it's basically, smart glasses will become gateways into the metaverse, allowing you to interact with the world around you. So you can record audio and video with a touch on your little sunglasses that you have. I mean, we've seen this technology. We've heard about this technology before. I'm not too surprised this came out already. Little weird, little scary, you might say. But I mean, it's also not. I mean, we've seen this in Black Mirror episodes as well. I keep referencing that. But I remember that Black Mirror episode with that girl. You might have watched it. And everybody rated each other. And if you had, the way it wasn't, status was not built on money anymore. It was built on your rating. So that was quite interesting. So I kind of feel like that's similar to that technology, but I mean, this one is more clunky because it's sunglasses that have these little camera lenses in the lens. So I feel like that's something that's kind of normal that would have come about at this time. So I did want to mention that because that did just come out. You can buy them for like $300 if you really want to. Probably not. Yeah, okay, I want to go into the crazy story. I think I've delayed this too much. I think we are ready to talk about, this is insane. I saw a video. I think I saw the first video on TikTok, and I was like, what the hell is going on? It's cows wearing virtual reality goggles. I am not kidding with you right now. It is cows wearing virtual reality goggles. So, right into 2022, starting the year off with a bang. Everyone's calling this really depressing. I mean, it is depressing, but it's also kind of nice, I guess. It's very Matrix-like. So a Turkish rancher has put on VR headsets onto his cows, and what he's doing with these VR headsets is making them see a lush outdoor environment so they can increase milk output. And basically, this article says, swap a few words out, you get the Matrix. It is really crazy. This cattle breeder, I mean, it's smart. So he has said had the idea as a result of the frigid winters. The animals are sheltered indoors and they don't really produce that much milk. So if they're outside and they feel like they're outside, maybe it's nice. Maybe they'll think about that. So this person also mentions that I'm a vegan, which I don't know why they mentioned this, but they said I'm a vegan. And saying, oh, you know what, I'm better than you. Saying you might think that I'm better than you. So I guess that was the other idea. Oh, and I love how they added a little ad in here. It is a really kind of weird deja vu thing. They keep mentioning this. Yeah, so these headsets were actually tested in 2019. But now they're being used. And it is kind of crazy, but she said her milk output has risen from 22 liters to 27 liters per day. So you know what? I mean, it's working. In some way, shape, or form. I mean, it's not being used on humans yet, so that's nice. Of course, it's not really ethical. I don't agree with the ethical side of it, but I mean, in a business sense, it is very smart. And I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I do think it's important to play that, and I think it's interesting. I want to look here. Yeah, so I'm looking at a video right now here on TikTok. Yeah, and basically, okay, I'm looking at an image. Obviously, I can't show it to you. I was about to show it to you, but it's this cow with two, because I guess their heads are too big, so they have two VR goggle headsets, one on each ear, eye. It's, strapped onto their head. Let me keep watching the video. I'm not going to put it on volume. Oh. Yeah, this guy just makes a joke about how he's running away and how he's not going to live here anymore. All the comments are basically saying that, everybody's kind of scared. All the cows are part of the Matrix. This is part of the Matrix. Everybody's kind of joking that, am I just one of the cows? And you know what? Maybe we are. And you know what? That's okay. I think that a lot of this also sparks the idea that we are in the Matrix ourselves, and that it's this really weird dystopian reality, which is true. It is really weird. It is dystopian. But I think even if we were in a virtual reality in the Matrix, I mean, we don't know it. So you know what? Who cares? You know what? Looking on the bright side of this, I know it's kind of depressing that, oh, they're inside. But this person's just using it for the winter. Of course, this might be used for worse reasons. But I think that there's a nice side to it. I think there's a side to it that's, it's kind of you know what? At least they get to think they're grazing the pastures. And that might be a nice sentiment for them. I mean, we've done horrible crap to animals for a very long time. We've made them run around in circles and try and get their milk that way. I mean, we've done stuff like that. So, I mean, this isn't really crazy. But I will mention that I was thinking, really, when I heard the story, it really wasn't about the ethical side. I was thinking, how much money is this going to cost? Is it really going to be worth the investment? Because you have to pay for these VR goggles. Don't they need to be charged? Is it going to cost more? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they are breaking even. Maybe they're making a little profit off of it. I don't know. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's not. Maybe the cows will be worse off for it in the future in terms of their kind of outlook on their health. Maybe their health will be off because of virtual reality goggles. I don't know. Maybe it will be. I just went onto Instagram. I'm going to talk about a few stories here before I talk about the future. Oh my gosh, we're already at 43 minutes. This is a very interesting topic, guys. I mean, I could talk about this for a while, even with my voice being off. Okay, so the first thing I see here is that a futuristic way to watch sports is here. The Brooklyn Nets have entered the Metaverse. So basketball, we can watch basketball on the Metaverse. You know what? This is cool. I'm going to say this is not that creepy. It is not dystopian. You know what? I'm going to rate these on dystopian to not dystopian. So 1 is a not dystopian, 10 is really crazy Black Mirror episode. I'll say this is a 3. I mean, it's a little weird, but let's be honest, it's not that weird. Okay, this one is kind of odd. Walmart plans to enter the Metaverse, launching NFTs and crypto. So Walmart is preparing to create its own cryptocurrency NFTs. Everybody is, so whatever. So per CNBC, 7 separate applications were filed last month, and in addition to being able to virtually shop Walmart stores in VR, the realtor is looking to offer their own line of unique NFTs. So basically they're saying you can shop 3D in the Metaverse. This isn't that weird. I think the concept's kind of crazy. doing it would be weird. Because, you know, we have things like Instacart, and why wouldn't you just put stuff into your bag and do it that way? I feel like I'd much rather put items into my bag and virtually and not interact with people. I think that's the reason why you go online anyways. And for the convenience, so I think this is just kind of more of an inconvenience, but you know what? Maybe people want to shop in VR. I think that's kind of cool. I'm going to put this at maybe like a 5. I think it's in the middle. I think right now it's weird, but I think in a few years that's not going to be weird at all. A lot of these articles are talking about NFTs, which I do not want to talk about. Yes, you can buy land. So there's a lot of cool land plots. A lot of companies are buying it, man. You better start buying land in Metaverse right now. I don't know if this is going to be super real, but you know what? It might be, and we should be ready for that. Let me see. There's a few other interesting articles, I believe. A lot of these are definitely about the not about the Metaverse, so. Oh, look at this. Paris Hilton is hosting a New Year's Eve party in the Metaverse. That was a while ago, but, some real estate's going crypto. A lot of things happening in crypto. Ready Player Me is a Metaverse avatar, so we're getting some cool avatars. I want to talk about the future now because I think a lot of these are going to be very similar. We've seen a lot of industries embrace the Metaverse, but I think, the future has really boomed with it, and it is still really crazy. So I'm going to get out of the cow article and move into some other stuff. A lot of, as I talked about, there's always a lot of land. I've talked about it. Really, you can just imagine people are buying land in the Metaverse. I don't think there's too much more to explain. The Metaverse property, you can go there, I guess, if you want to buy land. I think I've talked about that. I want to clear some tabs here so I'm not as confused. I think, I'm so sorry, my voice is sounding really off to me right now. Different executives could care less right now. We've talked about it. Okay, that was perfect. I already got the Ray-Bans on lock. We know the Ray-Bans. We expected that. Okay, the next thing actually, sorry, before I get into that, I want to talk about the things that Mark Zuckerberg has posted on Instagram, because I think those are the updates he wants us to know about. So that is what I am going to look at. So let me look up Mr. Zuck over here. Okay. So, he's posted a few memes about it. Okay, so Meta's Reality Labs team is working on haptic gloves to create a realistic sense of touch in the Metaverse. One day you'll be able to feel the texture and pressure when you touch virtual objects. First off, this is so cool. I have to say, dystopian, but it's so cool. I think there's so many benefits to the Metaverse. It's just cool, first off, but I think we are going to have to learn how to mix real world and virtual world and figure out ways to properly do that and not make this dystopian. I think that's going to be our problem, because I think technology will be able to get there on its own. I think it's going to be important. He talks about different video games he has. That's common. Oh, he loves the fence, and he says it's been fun to imagine the types of experiences the Metaverse will unlock, like giving everyone the ability to fence with an Olympic gold medalist. Spoiler alert, she'll win every time. He's being a little funny there. He also, he was talking about how he's already played ping pong in the Metaverse with, like, Ray-Ban logos. I think that's super cool. I think there's a lot of benefits to this, but I think we are also going to have to look at our environment. I think that's another fact we have to look into our future, because as much as this stuff is super cool and super engaging, and the Metaverse is awesome, and whatever virtual reality will bring us in technology is going to be super fun, and maybe escape from reality, like the Oasis. Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe we have to embrace it. I think we have to embrace it. And as much as it's wrong to save money, you don't have to buy ping pong, so you can just, like, play it virtually as long as you have a Ray-Ban $300 glasses. I think we're going to have to make sure that we don't let this, control too much of our lives, and just allow it to help aid our lives. I think that's important. But yeah, I think that's basically all Zuck has talked about. He has a lot of really cool things going on, and I think he's a cool guy. A lot of people harp on he looks kind of creepy. Everyone thinks he's like a robot, but you know what? Who else would you want creating your technology than a robot himself? So to look into the future is something I want to talk about as well. is that, a few of these things is, a lot of people are saying that we need more dystopia. We're on track for this. Looking at, this is at Reddit, so I mean, we don't really can trust that too much, but people are saying that, yeah, maybe in 20 years it'll get like it, but there's not going to be anything too exciting for this yet. Which is right. Because I think the technology just isn't here yet. Like, all the cool technology they're developing, something that I want to get my hands on, it's just not here yet. And that's why it's not going to be too dystopian yet. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But there is a lot of stuff about the metaverse, what it holds for the future. A lot of people are talking about jobs. So the interesting thing about this is people are just saying people are going to work more at home, which makes sense. And, okay, so this was a point in this article that the expansion of the metaverse will expand the value unlocked and potentially lead to rapid expansion of the global economy. So that's kind of what they talk about there. I mean, it also mentions NFTs, which again, I said I wouldn't talk about. So I think that the metaverse really, in a nutshell, is going to allow more people to work at home. We're already seeing that. So in this Forbes article, they talk about, I want to read this paragraph because I think it's important. The metaverse might be another buzzword in the myriad of trends that's sparking the tech world, but unlike many others, it has roots in society already, with COVID-19 speeding up large-scale digitalization and forcing people around the world to immerse themselves into the digital world. The metaverse is not fictional, sci-fi future anymore. In fact, it's one of the possibilities that is closer to a full-swing realization than any other. They also mention that these possibilities, I'm going to read this paragraph as well because I think it's important. These possibilities are no longer fictional, and they haven't been for a while. I want to stress that, for a while. Snapchat is one of the best examples of how the metaverse is already here without us realizing it, from customized filters that allow brands to connect with customers on deeper levels, to Snapchat's study that reveals users would like to see more of each interactive content. It's clear the future is already here, even if people don't fully realize it yet. I think that's such an important sentence. I mean, we've seen it in these small doses. It's gradually been developing, but the internet and the metaverse and all these things that we're talking about is here. It's here to stay. I mean, there's no escaping the internet. And I think definitely in the next 10, 20 years, if you want to get away from the internet, I mean, I don't even know if you'll be able to do that. You may have to go really rural, like, into some rainforests, but this stuff is here to stay. And I think instead of getting scared, instead of being super worried about it, and, thinking that these things might take over the world, I think we need to take it a day at a time. I think that we need to look at this stuff with some excitement. I think that this is going to help people's jobs to stay home, and this might be really good for the economy, because now people don't have an excuse that they can't drive to work. They can work from home. So this might boost the economy in that sense. And we've seen that with COVID, that people can now work from home. So that can help boost the economy maybe in some way, shape, or form. I think it is going to connect people. I mean, as much as I joke, Mr. Zuckerberg, talks about how this is going to connect us so much and how that kind of seems silly. I think that even though, connectivity in VR might seem silly now, once it gets to the technology where it's super immersive, that you feel like you're in person seeing people, that's going to be awesome. Like, I can talk to my friend that's in China, or that's in India, or that's in, Serbia, and I can just chat with them, and face-to-face, and touch them, and who knows, eventually we can maybe taste food on TV screens. This stuff is so awesome. And I think we need to realize we're on kind of the frontier of this amazing virtual reality technology. I think that even though it can get dystopian quite quickly, it is going to be amazing. It is going to be so much fun, and I think it's really going to help our economy. I think it's going to connect people. I think now we can see concerts virtually. We can see games virtually and be there in person. So now businesses, these concert people can pay for people who are seeing it in person, but also pay for people who are seeing it online virtually. So then they get more money, more revenue from that. Sports, they can get more revenue from people not being in person. Companies, you can just do an easy meeting and you can feel like you're right there with them, which is also super awesome and super important. I just see this going so many ways. NFTs, another thing that I'll mention in another episode, great for artists. I mean, I just think this is going to be so beneficial. Again, I think the other really cool thing is the Air Force and maybe medical industry and learning with the metaverse and learning with VR. I think immersing yourself into things like this is so cool, so important, and strapping on a pair of VR headsets for half an hour might be good to learn a few things. And I think that is going to be so awesome and so beneficial. So overall, doing a quick little recap of this, I think that the metaverse is here to stay in some shape or form. I think it is awesome, and even though it's a little dystopian, even though it can get like a Black Mirror episode, I mean, quite quickly, I think this is going to be super cool. And I think that VR is something we need to embrace because it's going to be here to stay. I think there's so many benefits, and right now, the benefits definitely outreap the negatives. And I also think that the technology is developing quickly, and hopefully in my lifetime I'll be able to experience feeling things in VR and doing all of that. But I hope I don't stay for the dystopian part. I hope I don't stay for the Ready Player One part, even though that seems like it could be a reality in the future. So overall, I think this is exciting. I think we should stay excited for it, and I will definitely do some updated episodes on this. I want to also look into talking about NFTs. I got a recommendation from that, actually. So I'll probably talk about that next week, maybe the week after. I'll see if I want to move from tech and maybe talk about something else. So I definitely think I will be discussing that. So I'll talk about that, and I'll probably talk about the metaverse with that, as I didn't go into the NFT side of it. I didn't want to go in the nitty-gritty. I just want to talk about the metaverse and cows with headsets on, which I think is something we'll see more of. So don't be surprised if we see some animals with like neural links or headsets on. Kind of funny, kind of creepy, but also kind of cool. I mean, the animals, they think they're on a pasture. That's nice. I mean, that sounds like the plot of the Matrix, but I am playing devil's advocate here that this could be beneficial. Though I do want to see the revenue and see if they're actually making enough to pay for all this VR headsets. Anyways, I don't think, I wouldn't be too worried about buying anything in the metaverse right now. Give it a few months, see where it heads, because this could go downhill very quickly. Be cautious, though. I think if you have a lot of money and if you're a company, go for it. I mean, high risk, high reward scenario. Again, to connect, to end off this episode, you can go onto my Instagram. It is ever.changingworld, ever.changingworld. It'll be obviously everything, all the resources that I have will be linked in the bio of this episode. I also do use an Instagram account that I looked at. It's called Metaverse. If you look it up, you can find it. Twitter, it is everchangingwor, everchangingwor. I've not updated in a while, so I will try to upkeep that. Again, my website, which is where you're probably listening from, but it is shows.acast.com/ever-changing-world. Yeah, so I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. I definitely enjoyed talking about it. I also hope my voice wasn't too much of a problem for you guys. So I really hope you enjoyed listening. I had so much fun talking about this, and I will definitely do an updated episode, definitely about NFTs and crypto in the near future. So, please go follow the social medias that I mentioned. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.